Hi, welcome back to Cinema Synopsis. Today I'm going to be explaining a science fiction action movie called Maze Runner: The Scorch Trials. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. The film starts with hundreds of people crowded around a quarantined area. A young Thomas is brought by his mother to be taken away for protection on board a train. She tells him that she loves him, yet they will never see each other again. On the train, Thomas meets Dr. Ava Page. In the present, Thomas and the rest of the gladiators, having just got out of the maze, are helicoptered down and led into the facility. As the gladiators go into the facility, zombie-like creatures called cranks try to attack them, but soldiers fend them off. They take the gladiators into a facility run by Jason. He says this place will provide the gladiators food, shelter, clothes, and protection from the flare. Thomas joins Minho and the other boys in the cafeteria. They see a lot of other groups of people about their age at the facility. Frypan points out one boy, Eris, who has been in the maze the longest. Jason then walks in and calls the names of several people for what is supposedly a relocation. Teresa's name is called and she joins the others as they walk out. At night, Eris gets Thomas out of bed and guides him through the vents to show him a room where a number of people are willed into for supposedly tests and research. Thomas starts to think that they are up to something and doing something bad to Teresa. Thomas wants to find out what's going on and tries to steal an ID badge from a guard. But his attempt to steal the ID badge from the guard was unsuccessful. That night, he and his friends sneak out of their rooms to find Teresa and the others. Thomas encounters them unconscious and attached to all sorts of mechanisms. Thomas then walks into a room where he sees Jason talking to Ava Page through a projection. He's been running tests on the teens to see who's immune to the flare. He mentions trying to find a resistance group called the Right Arm. Thomas realizes that Jason works for Wicked. Thomas gathers the group and tries to find Teresa so they can escape. They come across a soldier who aims their stun gun at them, but Minho drop kicks him into a wall. Jason and the other soldiers try to stop them from escaping and says they won't last in the desert with the cranks. Thomas is able to fend off the soldiers and barely makes it out with the others. Now outside the facility, the gladiators venture towards the mountains to find the resistance group of Wicked called the Right Arm. They come across an abandoned building and discover the place has power, but when they turn it on, Thomas and Minho find themselves being attacked by cranks. The cranks aggressively chase after the group, trying to infect them. As they find an exit, Winston holds them off with a gun, but one of the cranks attacks and scratches him. The others pull him out. The gladiators continue walking through the mounds of sand as day breaks. Winston collapses as he's been infected, with the disease rapidly spreading throughout his body. He only wants to be put out of his misery and not transformed into a crank. Frypan takes out a gun, which Newt takes from him and hands to Winston. Winston says goodbye to his friends, and they leave. On their walk towards the mountains, they hear a single gunshot. As the others rest for night, Thomas spots a civilization in the distance. A massive lightning storm starts brewing. Powerful bolts of lightning strike down, hitting Minho, but luckily, non-fatally. His friends grab him as they run into another building. There, they find dozens of chained cranks. Out of the shadows comes Brenda, who lives there with a group of survivors. She guides the gladiators to a leader/father figure called George. He notices the tattoos on the back of the gladiators' necks, realizing they came from a Wicked facility and that they are very valuable. George also learns that the gladiators are looking for the Right Arm. Soon later, multiple squads of Wicked soldiers led by Jason storm into the place. Thomas runs away with Brenda, separating himself from the other gladiators. George plays a song that triggers a series of explosions. When it finishes, the facility collapses and kills all the soldiers. Thomas and Brenda run towards an exit as they are being chased by cranks. They run outside into a collapsed building, where Brenda slips and nearly falls through a window. A crank emerges and attacks her, but Thomas breaks the glass and causes the crank to fall out while he pulls Brenda up. The two now head on to find the others and come across a club of sorts run by another survivor called Marcus. Marcus knows about the Right Arm, but doesn't tell Thomas and Teresa. He instead gives them a drink and tells them to fill out the party. While Thomas is tripping out from the drink, Brenda approaches him. They move in to kiss, but Thomas only sees himself kissing Teresa. He tells Brenda that she isn't Teresa, leaving her disappointed. After experiencing trippy visions, Thomas wakes up to find Teresa and Minho sitting over him. He and Brenda are back with George and the other gladiators, and Thomas finds George beating Marcus in the face. After George punches Marcus multiple hard times in the face, he finally gives up and tells him where the Right Arm is. The group takes Marcus's car and drives by a mountain with many abandoned cars. When they get out of the car, multiple gunshots are fired at them. George hands Thomas a bomb to use as a distraction, but they are cornered by two shooters. They recognize Eris and decide that the group possesses no threat to them. The ladies guide the group to meet the rest of the Right Arm, including their leader. Vince nearly shoots her until he is stopped by a former Wicked scientist called Mary Cooper. She reveals that Thomas used to work as a high-level scientist for Wicked, but after time he realized what Wicked was doing was wrong and gave the right arm the location of every Wicked facility that existed. She gives Brenda an enzyme shot that's not a cure, but will help the infection from spreading. She gives Brenda a chance to maybe live for a few more months. She explains that the enzyme shot cannot be mass-produced, but must be harvested from the younger generations that are immune. Thomas sits by Brenda's bedside. She mentions losing her mother to the flare. Thomas pulls out the small totem given by Chuck in the first movie as he remembers the boy's sacrifice. That night, Thomas talks with Teresa. She says that she watched her mom go mad from the flare, and she still believed it was possible to find a cure, which is why she decided to work for Wicked again. Wicked choppers are seen heading towards the mountains, as Teresa called them and told them where they are. Thomas starts to warn everyone, but it is too late. The choppers start to fire missiles at the right arm. The soldiers come down from the helicopters and try to round up the right arm. The right arm fights back, but there are too many soldiers, so the right arm has to stand down. Once the right arm is completely contained, a Wicked drone comes down carrying Ava Page. Teresa comes out and reveals that she is now going to work for Wicked, and she supports their work. Just when all hope seems lost, George comes out of nowhere with a truck and runs into a helicopter, exploding it. It gives the right arm just enough time to fight back and revolt against the soldiers. This time, the right arm is able to fend off the soldiers, but Wicked captures Minho and escapes in their drone. In the morning, the survivors seem to have lost hope. Thomas gathers what he can carry and decides he's going to infiltrate Wicked, rescue Minho, and kill Ava. Although Vince thinks he's crazy, Harriet agrees that she wouldn't mind some revenge. Now everyone looks at Thomas as their new leader as they prepare to take Wicked down. Links to watch part 1 and part 3 of this video series is in the pinned comment.